With absolutely no penetration, did SamHel finally make a family-friendly film? Kind of. Let's Stop at the Morgue is the latest film from director SamHel, but this time he's slowly moving away from the A Baroque House formula. That means that no, it's not a fetish film, and honestly, it's a breath of fresh air. Look, I love sex as much as the next guy, but I was excited to see something a bit different from SamHel. But don't get me wrong, there is still plenty of gore and plenty of titties, because Sam knows his audience. People with a void in their heart who think that buying expensive plastic covered in even more expensive cardboard will fulfill their life, even though we know it won't. No, Bill, buying that $500 limited edition of August Underground won't make you happy for more than 30 seconds. But you should still do it. The film follows a mortician who is also a serial killer. The film is told by the serial killer who narrates the story. Our main character is clearly mentally insane. I mean, serial killers are rarely very sane, but you know what I mean. Like mentioned previously, he is a mortician at a small local hospital. But on his downtime, because every man needs a hobby, he murders and tortures people. He then takes their limbs to make art projects out of them, and he leaves them all around a local park. Yeah, it's limbs from people he murders, but I mean, it's still better than a Jackson Pollock painting. And one of the positives of being a mortician, he says, is that he can meet and decide who will be his next victim. One day, the beautiful Rebecca Vanguard comes into the hospital to ask about his dad's corpse. Our friendly neighbor mortician takes her information to, call her back, but in fact, he's gonna try to kill her. When he finds her in the wood, he accidentally murders her right away, which he doesn't usually do, because as I said previously, he likes to make art out of them. A random girl sees her, and then she tries to run away, but our killer won't let her get away. And sadly for her, she won't get the easy treatment that Rebecca got, and she will get tortured. I don't really want to go in any more details, because the film continues with many twists and turns. I just want to talk about what I think of the film now. And for full disclosure, I did help fund this film through the Indiegogo campaign, which was the only way you could get the Blu-ray, I think. So will I be biased? No, but just take into consideration that I'm a fan of SamHel enough to, support his work. What I was afraid when I first popped in the movie is that it was gonna be Flesh Eater X, but with a male character instead, because it is very similar in the way that it is told through narration. My first thought was this was a lazy way to expose our character's backstory, but it turned out not to be that bad. We really got a glimpse into our character's mental state because normal character development was in fact peppered in there. The characters are very good, and surprisingly enough, the dialogue is very witty and funny. My favorite character has to be the detective because, he's this badass guy with like a leather jacket, some like 30 fucking chains, and one of his character trait, his little detail, which I love, is that every time he's in a scene, he's chewing gum, talking, and then he takes out another gum and puts it in his mouth and keeps chewing. I just find it hilarious that, he's this badass cop, but he's very worried about his minty breath. The assistant to the mortician is also very funny. I won't lie, I'm very biased to dark jokes, and necrophilia jokes are running through the entire film. Our main character is narrating the advantage of, being a mortician, and he's like, unlike my partner who says it's good for free sex, and that just made me giggle. And when we first meet him, he's like, yo dude, tonight we could, do a threesome with the body, I mean, her face is like kicked in, but the body's still good, and I don't know, necrophilia jokes are just fucking hilarious. The movie is presented in black and white and in 4:3 aspect ratio, which, it's experimental. I didn't mind. I think the black and white cinematography looks gorgeous. Like I said in Flesh Eater X, every time I see a new SamHel film, the cinematography improves, and I think there was a lighting guy in there, and obviously it shows. My only big issue with the cinematography is that it's very shaky, and he tries to counter that shake by, in editing, putting an effect that's called warp stabilizer. It's an Adobe Premiere, and if it's not well made, it makes the shot look kind of wavy and could create some nausea. Now, it's not present throughout the entire film, but the scenes that it's in are very noticeable. I was also very happy to see different sets. A lot of his previous films were in hotel rooms, which nothing wrong, especially for the stories and what these films wanted to, show, but this film has the hospital, the guy's garage, a bar, and everything looks pretty good and pretty convincing. These special effects are of course brilliant, and the body parts are made by the infamous James Bell, but the makeup effects are good too. I was thoroughly impressed with every actor in this film. I especially love our main sadistic character and, his badass fucking little goatee. Everyone in this movie has incredible facial hair. I mean, everyone, who has facial hair has incredible facial hair. And, you have these guys with long hair, and it's just amazing to look at. It's all like metalheads, and it's just awesome. So, do I recommend Let's Stop at the Morgue? Absolutely. I think this one is way easier to recommend than, SamHel's fetish stuff. Because I know I have a very diverse audience, and some people are just curious about these films but don't really want to watch them. However, this one is way closer to a straightforward horror film. It's still very underground, it's still very experimental, but I mean, it's easier to recommend than its fetish film if you're more into horror. So, go watch Let's Stop at the Morgue, and his newest project is through Indiegogo, so link will be below to support him. So thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.